Well, finally, we are getting ready to introduce the first guest in our ongoing conversation about change. We're tentatively calling it Let's Talk Tuesday, where I have conversations with people of all ages, in all categories, about different challenges that they have faced over the course of their lives, how they navigated those changes. Did they do it with grace and equanimity and style? Because what we all want to know is how to cope. And I think the guests, at least the ones we visited with so far, have really been insightful and instructive and really providing lessons for us in how we can be wiser and a little bit more positive about navigating our own personal changes in the future. So please join us in this ongoing conversation. I hope you like it. If you do, please make sure to let us know. It's in more of a podcasting kind of format. We will continue to learn over time, but hopefully, as I said, the conversation will be ongoing, and I hope you are part of it as well. I am so excited to be here today. Our first coffee conversation here at the cottage. How's that for alliteration? And I am here with Hannah. And first of all, let's spell your first and last name. So if anybody wants to look you up online and see your content and kind of what you're all about, they can find you.
Yes, Hannah,
Okay.
Schmitt.
Mitt. See,
Yes,
I would have put a D in there
The
somewhere.
two T's throw people off. You know, I didn't pick it. I married into it. So
what are you going to do? You got to love the one you're
it
with.
could be worse.
Could be worse. Well, Hannah and I have known each other for how long?
Oh, 5 years?
5 years, 6 years. Yeah. And we have met and we have brainstormed about a lot of things over the years. And having this kind of conversation, I think, is one of those things that we have brainstormed about. And your business, because you are kind of self-employed, you are a business unto yourself, very entrepreneurial. Your business and my business have really morphed and changed a lot over the years. And I love, one of my favorite questions to ask people is, what do you know for sure? And at my advanced age, I think one of the things I know for sure is the only constant is change. And as we, even in our young years, as we get older, but then particularly at my generation, as you begin to age, even the changes change. So this is our first conversation really talking about how we navigate change and how we can do it with grace and equanimity and courage and maybe with a little style and a little sass. And you were the perfect candidate. You kind of checked all those boxes.
Well, I don't know about that, but I do know a lot about change and transition.
Yes. So let's talk about that. So what we want to do today is talk about what recent change that you experienced in your life and then do a deep dive into it. So as we have these conversations going into the future, a lot of the changes are going to be different. How my life is changing is going to differ, obviously, from how someone your age, your life is changing. But there's one very particular life pivot that you have made recently that we want to talk about today. So if you would, give us a little bit of your background and then describe what your life pivot is.
Okay. My husband worked at Devon, so he's still there. He said, we'll be here a year. Don't worry. Because I'm from Texas.
And Devon is an oil and gas company.
Yes.
Here in Oklahoma City.
Yes, a big one. So, you know, when oil's good, you want to keep your job. Then when oil's bad, you also want to keep your job. So we just stayed.
Yeah.
He has really found great footing there and loves it. So I've always said, like, if you do decide you hate your job, like, let's think about something else. But they've been very good to him. So, but when you move somewhere thinking you're only going to be there a year, you just live very temporarily. I didn't want to make friends. I didn't want to find church. I didn't want to do anything. I just thought, I'll just stay in this apartment for a year, I guess. But then it became something more. I could tell he really liked it. He really liked Oklahoma City. So I tried. The easiest way for me to really buy in was to just really try to build community around all the things I cared about. So church, I applied to bring Creative Mornings to Oklahoma City. It's like a breakfast lecture series that was happening nationally that I really wanted to see in the city that I lived in.
Now, see, I did not know you brought that to Oklahoma City.
Yes.
And we'll put some information about Creative Mornings with a link to what the program is, what it's all about. And I think I maybe discovered Creative Mornings through your business, but I did not know that you were the instigator. So for that, I thank you.
Yeah. It was so fun the application process is kind of intimidating because they keep asking you like, are you sure you can host breakfast for 100 people with a speaker? Are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. Like, what event experience do you have? Zero, but let's do it. So I love the model of that because money can never change hands. So I don't know if they still do it that way, but you can't pay a speaker. You can't charge people to come. Everything just has to happen for free. And so when you're in that position of always asking people for things and just hoping that they say something good and you have zero budget and it's against the rules to even spend any money or ask anybody for any money, it just takes a lot of the guesswork out of it and then just makes it fun.
Yeah. Well, it's a wonderful mission, I think. It's a wonderful mission for people who want to tap into the creative community in whatever city, because this is a nationwide activity. So you can check to see if there's a creative morning program within your metropolitan area. And it's just different topics. It's just different creatives who come and they speak on a number of different things like graphic design or writing or PR or whatever. And and then you just
And they really believe everyone's creative. And so you might be surprised by the content there. You'd be like, I didn't really think that was creative work, but it is.
Well, I think it helps us tap into our own personal creativity. Yes. The other thing is the venue changes each time. Yeah. So it's fun to discover not only new aspects of creativity, but also really new, wonderful places to visit across the city. So then how did that transition?
So I was meeting a lot of women who are in like flexible work situations, a lot of women in transition, getting out of working full time because of family things or because they just said, okay, what I do for this one company, I could do for 10 companies and just do it on my own and make a lot more money and be a lot more satisfied. Those women did not have any support system around them. So co-working spaces were kind of beginning to take off in Oklahoma City. But I describe most of those in like the nicest way I can is to say that they were bro clubs. You know, they're just like very male focused, very tech driven.
So we're talking like WeWork and places like that.
Okay. There wasn't a WeWork here, but there were some other smaller ones. So I really wanted something that was really like focused on women. So I opened that in 2018, female only co-working space, thinking that it was going to be the office space that was important and finding out everyone just wanted the community. So our location was important for logistically for people to get things done, conference rooms, all of that. But really what was important to the women is to have peers and mentors who could just walk them through all those transitions that they're experiencing in life. They're like going back to work after kids went to school, or they retired and are starting another career, things like that. They have this opportunity to then be surrounded by women who aren't like competing with them. It's not the same industry. They just really can ask anything and not be embarrassed. Women live many, many lives.
Yes.
And so to hear all of those lives was just so inspiring.
Well, and I think sometimes we do, we have this idea of what networking is. And it's more about, how can I advance my career? How can I climb up the the career ladder, all of those kinds of things. But equally as important, I think, is when you are networking to find a mentor, or you are networking because you want to meet the solution to a problem you're having and form some connections along the way and some relationships. And I think at some point, that's how you and I met. I can't remember if you asked me to be a speaker there or something along those lines, but it was just a wonderful opportunity to exchange, because and the thing about it is, it's a safe place. It was always a safe place at the Treasury. And by the way, it was an aesthetically fabulous place. I mean, it was wonderful. It was really wonderful. But it was a safe place to be ignorant, if that makes any sense. It was a safe place where you could say, I don't know how to do this. Do you? I don't feel comfortable doing this. Do you? I will help you with this if you'll help me with that. Where can I find this resource?
And I think that was really built out of me needing that. I asked you to speak. I remember asking you to speak because I started this Working Mom Summit because I did not have a platform where other moms who were ahead were telling me, oh, you're going to be okay, or oh, a resume gap is fine, or oh, this is what I chose for childcare, or if that doesn't feel right for you to try this. No one was telling me. I had no idea. And the only people who had talked to me about parenting were like other preschool parents at pickup line. There was not an opportunity to talk to somebody else who'd already done it. So I think you spoke on a panel where I was so desperate to have someone with adult children be like, you're going to survive. You can be on the other side and have a career or whatever.
So can I back up just a little bit? Talk about how many children you have so people will have a perspective.
So I have an almost 8-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Oh, wow.
So at the time of opening that business, I just had a toddler and I was pregnant with my second. And so that was also logistically needing to get out of, full-time work, knowing like I don't live close to family. I'm about to have a second baby. Childcare is expensive.
What was your background? Do you have a business background?
Journalism. So I got a journalism degree in Texas, and my first job out of school was at a daily newspaper. And I thought I would do that forever. It was the most amazing job in the world. It's just not that family friendly to like carry a police scanner in your purse and like start every day going to look at like the police blotter. It's like, I can't take kids.
It's kind of cool though.
It's so cool. It was nothing like huge it was ever happening, but it was so fun to be in everybody else's business all the time and have a reason to talk to anybody.
To be in somebody else's business all the time. I've never heard it put that way, but yeah.
If you're a journalist, you have a reason to talk to everybody in the world. So you can go into a restaurant and be like, how do you make those tamales? I work for the newspaper. I need to know. People will tell you anything.
That's true. That's very, very true.
It's so good.
You immediately have the badge.
Yes.
That gives you access to all sorts of different things. But I want to point out a couple of different things that if I asked you about it, you would probably answer in a very humble, self-deprecating kind of way. But how incredible that you moved to a completely new environment and you started this kind of business. This wasn't a setting that you were already comfortable in. You didn't know a lot of people here that you could get all your girlfriends and say, hey, girlfriends, come. So I'll at least have 3 people in the audience. I mean, you were really kind of a badass. To be able to do this, I don't think I would have had the confidence to do that, but I think that confidence has helped you carry it forward. So talk a little bit more about how that evolved and then your most recent kind of big change.
So I think there's a lot of freedom in being anonymous, and there's a lot of freedom in not having, I didn't have like some success story that I was having to build on top of. It was like either this works or it doesn't. I know a lot of people who have like failed at business and they moved on to do something else. And I was married to somebody who was like, look, we can try it. And if it doesn't work, that'll be real sad and we'll be out a lot of money, but you'll get over it. And so
How wonderful is that?
Yes. I think he knew that in relationships, sometimes one person's sacrificing for the other, having to pick the other person. And that's just been our dynamic. So he'd had times where we invested in him, and then so it just worked out and then it ended up working. And I think part of why it worked too was that I was anonymous, and I just did not, when I moved to Oklahoma, I made the comment to my husband, like, everyone here was in a sorority except me. That's not true. You just feel like it if you go to like the junior league or something like that, or where the sorority circles are. So I ended up meeting a lot of other women who were like, oh, I wasn't in a sorority at OU or OSU, so I thought I was just totally alone. But so getting to meet those women, changed my life, because I do believe that relationships are everything. But I think it also gave me, I remember one day someone else was waiting on a conference room, and this meeting was going over, and I like went and tapped on the door, and I was like, your time's up, you paid, your time's up. And I get out, and the girl in the office next to me, she's like, that's OU's football coach. I can't believe you just kicked him out of that conference room. I'm like, I don't know these people. I think it helps to not, not concerned.
You're just going by the rules, and it's very egalitarian. Everybody kind of gets treated the right way, even if they are a football coach.
Yes, I don't know anything about Oklahoma, so
ignorance is bliss, and again, it's a safe place to be ignorant.
Yes,
because what you don't know can't hurt you.
Yeah, I think. We talked about it when we got the mics out. Like, these make you feel so like such an expert.
Yes.
Certainty is like really rewarded in our culture. And I think the more that we're willing to just say, I don't know, opens up a lot of possibilities for us. Like, no one's going to come to me to learn, but I think that it's more important for me to be willing to say, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I can change my mind.
Yeah, it's that whole, though I would dispute that a little bit. I think people can learn a lot from you, but it's also that whole Brene Brown culture of exposing your vulnerability, and the other F word, fail, being willing to fail, and being willing to, as I have demonstrated many, many times, be willing to look stupid.
Yeah.
And have people call you out on it and say, oh, that wasn't correct, or whatever. And I think at a certain point, you just, you have to be able to show your warts and all. Yeah. But let's kind of move forward about so you had this.
Yes.
And then you started a program called the 100
magazine. Which was really just initially meant to be, a side project to what I was already doing at the Treasury. I was meeting so many cool women there. Those women weren't ever on any of the like top lists, power lists, 40 under 40 lists. I thought, this is just wrong. We need a new list. So created 100 magazine, 100 women featured based on their character, not just their accomplishments. So their accomplishments can be part of it if they want. I ask 7 really open-ended questions that don't have anything to do with personal accomplishments. So for the women who accomplishment's really important to them, it comes in. If it's not, it doesn't. But so I'm 3 issues into that, working on the 4th issue, and it really was becoming this side project that I knew was never going to get the time or attention it needed if I still had the Treasury.
Yeah, so. And you were really passionate about it, because I think it not only exposed you to these amazing women, but it exposed you to important topics. Like, I remember you had a program on social justice, females who had been incarcerated, probably literacy programs, teachers who often don't get enough recognition, healthcare workers, just a whole spectrum of different female professionals who engage and really fight every day for whatever that career, that passion is. Yeah. And this was you would have meetings, or you would have a celebratory dinner where all of us got to get together and visit with one another. I met so many fascinating people who, as you said, otherwise aren't always celebrated, and who also don't have the opportunities to really get together and meet one another and see how I think there's so much power in connection, and not just personal connection, but also professional connection of, oh, I've never looked at my business in this way, but I see how your business, there could be some synergy between the two different disciplines. And so that kind of connection in and of itself, I think, is really, really creative. So you were pregnant with your third child.
Yes.
And take it from there.
It really just got to a point where I knew I couldn't do both. And I've been there before doing jobs where, you just got to let one go. And I felt like I had given the Treasury everything I could. I was in a season of life where happy hour is just not a time that I can get away anymore. The content and the programming that our women were asking for, I just was in a spot family-wise that just didn't make sense for me to do it. So finding a buyer for that business who was in a stage of life to do that and had so much wisdom, because something I saw from that community, the members we really attracted in those first 5 years I was there were women who were in that same, like they're in their first 5 years, we're doing it together. Well, then they're graduating me, essentially. I need to give them an owner who is years ahead and has tons of wisdom and connections for them. So when that buyer, came about, it was just a no-brainer that this is going to be the best transition for my family. It will give me the time to really dedicate to 100, and it won't leave all our members at the Treasury high and dry.
So your basic motivations were family. You wanted to devote more time to 100 magazine, and you wanted to leave your business in good hands.
Yes.
And so you took the risk of, if I can find a good buyer, then I'm going to sell this business that I put my heart and soul into. And you did.
Yes, I did. I did it.
So who was influential in helping you come to the realization that that's what you wanted to do, supported you in the risk that it was, and what other kinds of questions did you ask yourself?
I think, again, my husband, just because he knows me so well and he knows the elements of the job that were stressing me out, and taking too much from why I even started it. I started it for the flexibility too, of knowing that I couldn't really be beholden to a boss anymore. It was just getting too difficult with kids. And then he's like, well, now you're being, in this other phase, you have all these customers that you really, if you continue to, take maternity leave without hiring people to take over for you and stuff, you're kind of leaving them in a bind. And he just knew that it was very stressful for me to have the overhead and the physical space. He saw 100 magazine as really being like, you can still do all of this work encouraging and connecting women, without the physical space that's so draining for you. Let somebody else, steward that. So I would say he was huge in that. And then even, the buyer, she was my landlord there at that location, and she had been, there through everything the business had ever been through. And so her knowing, like her confidence in what I had built and being able to take that forward, we just aligned on so many things that it would have been stupid to not move forward.
So when you finally came to the decision that I am willing to let go my baby, I'm willing to sell it, what were your biggest fears? Were they financial?
Yes.
Yeah, financial? Were they identity? Were they speak about your biggest fears?
All of that. Financial, yes, because my husband had already seen me, start a business and then work it up. So part of him too was like, oh, it's finally doing well and you want to leave. Surprise, surprise. Why do you do this?
Right.
It's not fun for me unless I'm panicked.
That probably resonates with a lot of people.
Yes.
That probably resonates with a lot of people.
It's the self-awareness. I know that about myself.
And self-awareness becomes so much more important as we get older.
Yes. And then the identity, I think nobody starts a business who doesn't have like some kind of ego issues, as much as we try to say like, it's not about me. And I really did work over those 5-6 years to not make it about me and make the Treasury its own thing. But entrepreneurship does give you a level of relevancy. And I had to really ask myself, why do you care about being relevant? And why have you tied up so much of your identity and worth and value into efficiency and productivity and profitability and people seeking you out? I mean, one of my very last email conversations on my Treasury email address was someone had been asking me to speak at an event. And then she's like, oh, can I hear you're selling? Can you hand me off to Nova instead, the buyer? I'm like, oh.
Yeah, oh, you don't want me anymore.
No, you just wanted the Treasury. You don't want Hannah.
Well, and I think it's important to say and maybe we did not make this clear at the beginning, but your business, this workplace, this connection, all of this was in a building called the Treasury, and the business itself was called the Treasury. And so you kind of became the Treasury. And so you'd say, oh, do you know Hannah? Oh, you mean the Treasury girl?
Yes.
And so your identity does become tied up into it. And then at what point are you Hannah? And at what point are you the Treasury? And I think that is a pretty scary thing. Did you put any things into place, any cushions, financial cushions into place? Did you take any measures to kind of mitigate the impact of the repercussions of selling your business with these financial problems and with your identity crisis? Did you do anything beforehand?
Yes. Logistically, using the money from selling that business to give me a runway with 100 so that I'm not trying to be profitable, right at the beginning of that has been super helpful. My husband appreciated that. And so, negotiating what was going to be the best price to put me in the best position.
When you're in kind of the depths of uncertainty, do you rely like on your parents? Do you what coping mechanisms do you use? Do you work out? Do you meditate? Do you work harder? Do you become obsessed? How do you really work through uncertainty and just not knowing what lies ahead?
They're not all healthy coping mechanisms. Uncertainty is hard, but I think motherhood really broke me of thinking I know what's next or thinking I'm prepared for what's next, because it's just, you never know what's going to happen. So it's been helpful for me to keep, in times when I'm feeling really crazy and worn down or even just too busy, I write down, my list of non-negotiables and then negotiables. So, every day I do need to go on a walk. Every day I need to pray and read my Bible. Every day I need to have a conversation with my husband. Every day I don't have to vacuum. I don't even have to fold the clothes. I don't have to respond to my friends' text messages if I'm just feeling a little bit too much for that. So that always helps me, because it's like, okay, I can do this. I don't have to be feeling 100% to do that. But yes, I think for me, moving my body, exercising might be just a really great distraction from all the uncertainty, something I feel like I'm in control of.
Let me ask you, since you have children, how do you deal with childcare? And if your family doesn't live here, how did you find support going outside of the family realm? Do you have babysitters? Do you work some kind of childcare arrangement with friends? I'll take your kids one day if you take mine. How do you navigate through all of that?
I would say the very first thing I had to do is just drop my work hours by half. I mean, it just did not make sense to pay someone else. I was open to paying somebody else for me to work a full 8-hour day. there weren't a lot of jobs, even as a college educated person, that I could do that would adequately offset the cost of childcare. I don't know how people are doing it. I really don't. If you find out, let me know. I think people just take that on, and say that's just going to be 5 years of life till my kids get to school. I just wasn't willing to do that financially. My husband and I weren't. And then it came to, this is a little person I actually really do enjoy spending some time with and getting to know. And so dropping that by half then allowed me to say, okay, for that amount of time, I can find childcare. And the rest is going to be, getting up before everybody else, staying up after everybody else, some nights, not all nights, but something that I had been praying for since I was pregnant for the very first time with my now 8-year-old, was just someone who felt like a second mom to me here. Mm-hmm. And after my second was born, my daughter, we found a babysitter who is still, that's who's with Rosemary now. She's been part of our life for 5 years.
Oh, lucky you.
Yes, she is a career nanny. That's the problem with babysitters. They go to college or they go get a job. You're like, wait, no.
It changes, yeah.
Yes, she is a career nanny. That's what she does. So she comes 2 days a week for me to do things like this, and is just, she's gotten us through without having any family.
Yeah, you're really fortunate.
Yes.
Really, really.
Very. So other than that, piecing together, Mother's Day outs, or the gym that I go to has childcare. So I can exercise and also like go into the cafe for an hour and get emails knocked out while she's there. So you just put it together.
How much time does 100 Magazine take, and how frequently do the issues come out? And I'm sure a lot of people out there are wondering, how do you make money from it?
Mm-hmm. I work roughly 8 to 10 hours a week on that. And it comes out once a year. It's an annual publication. So our 2025 issue will be coming out in October. It drops like the fall for the following year so we can get holiday sales. So I make money primarily through advertising. So we have advertising partners who buy spots. The print ad is really just a bonus. They're really wanting like relationships with the honorees. So they know that their business thrives through relationships with women. Mm-hmm. All of the women in the magazine are, they have their own spheres of influence. They have their decision makers in their household and in their workplace and on the boards they serve on. And so our advertisers want relationships with them. And so that's primarily the way that I make money. And then we sell the magazine. Each magazine sells for $25. So women who are in it want it, and then other people just locally want to have that. It's more like a coffee table book than a magazine, I'd say. Mm-hmm.
So you built a business, you sold a business, you've kind of now downsized a little bit into a different area, and then you are hopefully kind of composting your life so that once your kids are back in school and you have a lot more free time, that can then transition again into something different. Let's kind of wrap it up with a couple of things. What do you think, was the biggest thing you learned from this? And do you have any regrets? What was your biggest regret in selling the business and pivoting to this new life stage?
I think I'm still navigating my biggest regret. I think anytime anyone's transitioning, I think we need to build in time of nothing. I think that we need to not skip from one thing to the next thing. I really wish I would have given myself more time to just do nothing and see how that felt, and see I'm bad at that. I can't ever stop. But I think that that's important whenever you're transitioning. What was your other question?
Well, you kind of tied them together. The biggest, maybe biggest regret and the biggest thing that you learned.
I think another big thing I learned when you're in the business and this can even happen if you work for someone else, but if you have a lot of autonomy and you're really doing a great job, you put so much of yourself into it. And when you step out of it, it can feel like, oh, it wasn't even that important. And that can be a sad realization, but it can also bring a lot of freedom to be like, there's nothing, you're not that essential to anything. So it can go on without you. And if it doesn't, maybe it didn't need to be there to begin with. I mean, it can be painful to ask yourself those questions, but at the same time, I think humbling just to say, I think what I've learned the most is like being present is more important than having impact. I think a lot of the things that you do, like you're thinking like, what's the purpose of this conversation? And I need to have this conversation with this person to make the bigger impact. You just need to listen. And
so how do you feel now about your relationship with relevance?
I feel very comfortable now saying it's okay if I'm not relevant, and saying,
or the areas in which you are relevant maybe are different. You want to just be relevant within the context of your family and your children.
Yes.
And you still want to be a good human being and contribute to your society, but in a less, I don't know, public way.
Yes, in a less public way. So things I'm doing, I have capacity now for things I did not have capacity for as a business owner. I mean, yesterday I had someone from 100 Magazine over for lunch who just lost her best friend to suicide. And I just DM'd her and said, can I make you lunch? I never had the time to do that. Because again, you're thinking impact big. Like if I have childcare, I need to be doing these things. Now it's like, it's listening to someone talk about her friend for 2 hours while you feed her a Trader Joe's salad. It's not that hard. And so the relevance just changes. And it just becomes okay to just be present for whoever's in front of you instead of just be thinking about the bigger picture all the time, which I think is important too. And I think there will be seasons of that, but it's also okay to be nobody.
Well, the other thing is I think it puts so many things in perspective of, oh, I'm not such a much, and I made a big deal out of this, and it wasn't that big of a deal. But by the same token, I think women in particular, we have a tendency to really beat ourselves up and to just say, it's okay. Yes, that was important, you know, and you have a right to mourn that. And yeah, you may have done some things differently, but it was okay that it was that important to you at that point in time. And well done me for recognizing that it was time to make a change and a new season in my life. I am part of speaking of sorority, I'm a part of a huge sorority of women that I think we just constantly are beating ourselves up. I didn't do this right, or I wasn't perfect, or I didn't, I couldn't do it all. Well, nobody can do it all. Male, female, goat, dog, nobody can do it all. It's we're constantly making choices. And this was a way that indeed to me, it seemed like you navigated this choice with grace and equanimity and balance and great style. So I have to ask you, I'm huge into substantive things, but I'm also into maybe more superficial things too. And style is really important to me. And you very much have an aesthetic that I have admired. You carry yourself in a certain way, you comport yourself, and you present yourself in a certain way. So what two things, when you're going to treat yourself, or what two things would you say are kind of signature styles that you give yourself permission to express and to treat yourself?
My hair is my big indulgence. I don't do it.
And you do have beautiful locks. You do have beautiful locks.
Thank you. My husband bought me as a gift when my second daughter was born, my second baby, like this gift card to go get my hair done, and just blown out. And I was like, well, this is done. Throw away the blow dryer. I'm never blow drying my own hair again. And I really did. I can't do my own hair. I've never been able to. I've always had long hair and a lot of hair. And so having someone else do it is just a huge treat. I go to Dry Bar and I just let them do it. They do this in 45 minutes.
How often do you have to go?
Well, this will last me a week. And so I kind of rotate. I go every 2 weeks. I'll do this, wear it for a week, and then I'll just wash my hair and let it air dry, put it in braids or something.
Oh, the luxury of being able to just wash your gorgeous hair and let it air dry.
Wait,
Yeah.
they wash it and then they blow dry it?
Oh, yes. They wash it, and they wash it twice. So it's like really, really clean.
Do you get a good scalp massage?
Yes. I mean, they wash. That's an aggressive hair washing is the biggest treat in life.
Just have somebody really.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So they wash it twice. You can pay extra for an add-on to get a 10-minute massage.
Oh, wow.
I don't ever have an extra 10 minutes. I'm always just trying to get in and get out. But
Well, that kind of takes the rest and relaxation element out of it, though.
I mean, but here's also, this is my problem. If you haven't, I can't rest. So the whole reason I like this is because instead of doing my hair myself, I can take my laptop and get to inbox 0 while someone else does my hair. That is rest for me.
Wow. Okay. And you say you're not driven or whatever. Okay. Yeah, I would be indulging in the moment.
No, you feel like because you're killing two birds with one stone. You feel like you're really, I could be president.
You're a
if someone else
workaholic.
does-
You're kind of a workaholic.
I-
if you work during having. Okay, so now I have never. I mean, obviously, I've gotten my hair cut and colored and, all that kind of stuff, and a good hair massage every now and again. But to just have that done, what does that cost? What does it cost to have your hair to go to a dry bar?
So it's $55 to get the blowout. But if you're a barfly and you have the membership, it's $45.
Barfly.
Yes.
Okay.
Barfly. So it's essentially about $100 a month, and that's 2 blowouts a month. But they never expire; they roll over. So when it's 120 degrees outside, I don't go do that because I don't want to blow dry on my face. So I save those for in the winter.
Okay, and what a great gift idea! So people would know then. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. If
Yeah,
your
we
wife has
can
had a
get
baby,
Hannah.
get her a
Get
membership.
here. Okay.
And
Great gift idea.
Yes,
Great gift idea. Okay, now let me see your nails.
yes, I got garden nails for you.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so that has always been something that I've noticed about you. You have signature nails.
Yes.
And what did you have? Last time I saw you, they were kind of a blue-green.
Crocodile. I just let her do whatever. I let her do whatever she wants. But I said, some abstract flowers for this. But she does a great job. And I tell her must be like a witch or something because they don't ever break. They don't ever cry. I go every 5 weeks and they just.
So are they?
It's gel polish.
It's like a gel polish, and then she does the artwork on top of it. You can see that I'm really outside of my comfort zone in the loop, but I think that's so cool because I remember seeing Diane Keaton once, and she had Burberry. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes.
Nails.
Yeah. She could do that.
I thought, oh my gosh, for fall,
Yeah.
I want plaid nails.
Yes.
Yeah, and after I went to Scotland this summer, and I thought, oh, how cool would that be? I don't think I could keep it up like you because the big challenge is just getting the dirt out from underneath my fingernails.
Just cover it, and then you'll never know.
And okay, there you go. Another and a good life tip. Mm-hmm. Just cover it up.
Cover it up. No.
Yeah, just cover it up. I can't thank you enough. This
thank you.
So much fun. Please check out 100 Magazine. Do you have a website?
Yes, 100mag.com.
100mag.com. Go and check out. And you will probably run into her at the Bradford House, one of our favorite places to hang out. She offices there now that she doesn't office at the Treasury. Yes. Are you open to people reaching out to you if they've got questions about, I'm thinking about doing this? Can you give me some advice?
Absolutely. I love it.
Yeah, because the best networking of all is to be there for somebody else when they need it. Mm-hmm. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you,
we'll
Linda.
be back with another life change and a conversation about how do we navigate the changes of life with grace, with style, with equanimity, and a dash of courage. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks.